The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily Rogers or Rogers TV.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mommy Talk. Today's subject is living and parenting with multiple sclerosis, MS. We have a few parents and guests on the show today that are experts on this subject. Our first guest is Jennifer Fleming. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yeah, I'm 29 years old and I have a 6-year-old son at home as well as a 3-year-old daughter and a husband.
Okay.
And I'm an RPN at the hospital.
Okay, great. And Maria Boyes, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a mother of 3, and all of my children were brought up in Collingwood, and Alana is my youngest daughter.
Great. And Alana Lotto,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with children?
Yeah, so I'm a child and youth worker. I work for a foster care agency in Wasaga Beach, and I was diagnosed with MS at the age of 22.
Okay, well thank you very much
Yeah.
for coming on to share your story with us. And Jennifer, you were also diagnosed when?
May 10th, 2013.
Okay. And so today we're going to discuss what it's like to parent. You are parenting 2 children while having MS.
Right.
And Alana, you are dealing with that MS, and Maria is your mother, and so this is something you've went through together.
Absolutely. Yes.
Can you tell us, Jennifer, you're a registered practical nurse.
That's right.
Can you tell us what exactly is MS, just for the viewers that may not know exactly what it is?
MS is essentially where the T cells in your immunity attack the sheath around the nerve. That's called the myelin sheath. It protects the nerve. The more attacks that happen on that same nerve, the more damage the sheath becomes, and then it becomes the transmissions from the brain to your nerve becomes disrupted.
Okay, and what does that exactly kind of do to your body? What effect does that have?
Basically, the worse it gets, the harder things become. So if you're having issues walking, it's usually because of that nerve being damaged to the point of paralysis.
Okay, all right. And Alana, is the start of your journey with MS,
Yes.
when you were diagnosed, how did you feel when you first found out?
It was about over 6 months. I was having many symptoms. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. My feet would go numb. I would get tingling sensations throughout my body. I kept going back to see my doctor and we couldn't figure it out. And it was actually a resident doctor that suggested that I go for an MRI, and it was soon then found out it was MS.
That's one thing that it's hard to hear as a mother. I'm sure when you found out that Alana was diagnosed, how did that make you feel? How did that affect you?
So it was a 6-month journey, as Alana said, and at first, they thought it was vertigo, and then that kind of still didn't fit her symptoms. When she went for an MRI, we went on Sunday, March 23rd, 2013. We went for the MRI, and it's almost like she knew something was wrong. When she came out of the MRI, she was, Mom, I think there's something wrong.
Right.
And so, being a mother, of course, you don't want your children to feel that way. So I'm like, let's just wait, so on and so forth. And by Monday noon, the doctor's office had got in touch with her and said that they needed to see her.
Right.
So then there was other tests that she had to go through. The first MRI was on her brain, and the second one was on her spine. Okay. So, a little bit of a journey, and you're going into an unknown world.
Right.
But we've always gone into the journey together as a family.
Oh, that's great that you've been able to come together and deal with this sickness
Absolutely.
together. And you being a registered practical nurse, did you kind of know right away when you were having your symptoms what was going on?
I was blindsided.
You were blindsided.
Yeah, I really thought I had a pinched nerve.
Wow.
And even the neurologist was confused and just said symptoms didn't make sense. And then he's like, I'm just going to do a full workup.
Okay.
Did the MRI, and sure enough.
Okay.
that's
So
what
when we come back, we're going to delve a little bit more into how this affected your families, how we came through this, and how we've made a positive out of this. So when we come back, we're going to learn more about MS, and we'll see you when we get back.
The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily Rogers or Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Mommy Talk. The subject today is a bit difficult to talk about, and I appreciate you ladies coming on the show and sharing your stories with us. So we'd like to know a little bit more about how this personally affected you. So Alana, can you tell us a little bit about your struggles and challenges?
Yeah, so being at the age of 22, it was definitely something that no one can ever plan for or expect at such a young age or at any time in your life.
Right.
It was extremely overwhelming. It was very scary. I had to turn to my family a lot for support and guidance because you feel kind of lost. You're given this diagnosis and you're left to research and kind of find out what it is, and it's kind of a scary one to deal with and face. And
how did it physically affect you? What was your day-to-day struggles?
I've never been disabled to the point that I couldn't function day to day, but it does affect me daily. I get fatigued very easily. I have to sleep. Sleeping's a huge thing for me. Sometimes I get like tremors and shakes and tingling in my legs. Vertigo and dizziness is a huge thing for me.
Right.
So the balance factor, but I just try to hold it together.
And when you're dealing with the children that you work with as a child and youth worker, how does that affect you with your job? Is it difficult?
I haven't really faced any head-on challenges except for the stress factor, and just my workplace has been really amazing in alleviating things if they've been getting too stressful, because that can be a trigger for.
Well, that's good. So you've well informed your workplace, and they've worked with you with this.
Yeah, they've been extremely supportive. So.
Right. And Maria, have you noticed some of the challenges that Alana goes through, and how have you helped her as her mom?
Just being there for her 24/7. All of us as a family, as I said before, have been, a support to her and made sure that she has always felt that she is never alone.
Right.
We're always there for her to turn to, and while we may not, understand everything that she's going through, we're there to listen.
Yes.
And to move her forward in a positive way. And some of the things we've done, by doing that is, as Alana knows and Jen knows, these women they're not victims, they're warriors.
Right.
And we've taken, MS by storm in
Yes.
the area, and, we want to get the message out there. We get actively involved with MS Walk Collingwood, Simcoe County chapter.
Right.
All these things that, bring people together and turn everything into more of a positive face for them.
Right. So as a parent, your job never ends, right? Does it? I mean, you're always there for your children. You're always talking them through their hard times. And when you found out this news, it was something that you were able to do together as a mom and daughter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Jennifer, can you tell me a little bit about your day-to-day struggles with your condition and how that has affected your family?
Well, when I first was diagnosed, I was doing 12-hour shifts, midnights,
Okay.
trying to keep up to the workload. Being 27 at the time, I really struggled with that.
Right.
That's kind of where, when I got diagnosed, I kind of went into a dark stage, little depressed, mildly. It was hard getting out of bed for the kids, and they would pull me out.
Yeah, parenting the children would be very difficult.
Absolutely. And I couldn't keep up at 27 to my kids. My one child was 1, and my other was, almost 3, and I couldn't keep up to them. So I switched positions at my work, and it helped. And then I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, and that's what happens. When you are diagnosed with something like this, I mean, it would affect the whole family. All
Absolutely.
your children would feel
My
what you're
husband as
going
well.
through, and your husband obviously
Yeah, everything
as well.
went to him. Like, he
Yeah.
had to pick up everything I could.
Day to day, getting the kids ready for school, and
Yep.
these would be difficult tasks.
Cleaning.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially mentally. Like, did you find you went through a lot of mental stress with this, not
Yeah.
just physical?
A lot of mental stress too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, what kind of treatments are there out there for this? So, what medications and treatments have you received?
So you're given multiple options of treatments. I chose an injection, a daily injection called Copaxone.
Okay.
So it's an injection 7 days a week, and it's supposed to help slow down the progression of MS.
Okay. And what kind of treatments have you?
I started with a medication called Rebif, and it was
Okay.
an injection every other day. I really didn't tolerate it very well, which was another reason anxiety started to hit me harder.
Right. Okay. Yeah, medicines can sometimes have that effect on you. It can-
Needles and
yeah.
me being a nurse, needles didn't bother me. It was no big deal, but for some reason this injection was very painful, and you would get welts on your body. You'd have burn marks. It was just the anxiety of trying to give yourself a needle really affects people.
Yeah.
And then stress being one of the number one causes that causes attacks, really didn't work out very nicely.
Right. How did you tell your children about the MS?
It's hard to put it in words when they're so little. I think the best way I can tell them is, mommy's not feeling well, or
Right.
when they get older, I can explain it to them better so they'll understand.
Right.
But at their age right now, it's really difficult for them to understand why mommy's so tired. Like, the fatigue has been, like Alana's, it's been
Yeah.
so hard for me.
Right.
And it's hard for them to understand and grasp that as to
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. And you guys are friends, so you've went through this together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've been a support system for each other as well. Where can you go for support for this, for MS?
So you can contact your local chapter, and they provide support groups, and you can reach out to them, and they might connect you to people in your community. Honestly, just word of mouth as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's how Jen and I connected, through a mutual friend, and
Okay.
I contacted
contacted
Jen,
me,
on Facebook, and we
Right.
started talking, and we helped each other a lot. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And Maria, how have you found? What kind of supports have you found have worked well for you? I mean, you must go through an immense amount of stress as a mother. Dealing with a child.
Well, of course,
that has
because
MS.
you want only the best for your children,
Yeah.
and you want them to be healthy and happy. And I can say 100%. Alana has taught us as a family so much as she's traveled through the beginning part of her journey. And she has really shown us that, you know, it takes strength, and you have to push past the times where you're feeling well, or, you know, she does so much with laughter. And you know, we try to turn everything into a positive. I mean, I think with any diagnosis, you enter into a very different world, because you don't know what to expect. So there's financial impact through the medication. You know, how much is your employment going to cover? How much will Trillium cover? How much, you know, is it out of pocket for you? All these things. And for, you know, for young people, that's a very real thing. So part of what the MS chapter can help you with, as well as direct you into the right type of you know, venues that can make things easier on you. You also have to have you know, kind of nerves of steel to, you know, to go to the neurologists and you know, keep your checkups. And we do that as a family. You know, Alana has a neurologist in Barrie, and she has a neurologist down at the MS clinic at St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, and we all take turns going with her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I always go for her MRI. I won't let her kick me out of going to that.
Mom's always there. That's right. She's always there.
But her brother and her sister and sister-in-law and brother-in-law have taken turns at the MS clinic in Toronto, you know, listening to what the neurologist has to say. So they're always a part of Alana's journey, that everybody knows what's going on. And that's really helpful.
That's so amazing that you guys can come together as a family and research this MS and learn about it and be there for each other and really support Alana on her journey. And I'm sure your husband does the same thing for you. You guys have probably spent a lot of time doing research and
Mostly
learning.
telling him.
You're mostly telling him. Isn't that always the way?
Always the way.
So I want to talk a little bit about fundraising and volunteer efforts when it comes to MS. How can people get involved? Like, what are there out there for people to get involved in to volunteer and fundraise for this?
Well, I'll start off. First of all, the first Sunday of every May, there's here in Collingwood is the MS Lace Up for the Cure walk. And we came in May of 2013 just to kind of very silently. There was just, I think, 5 of us that came just to kind of feel it out, because it was so new after Alana had been diagnosed.
Right.
And we kind of just skimmed the surface, and then we got more involved as time went on for the 2014 walk. And Alana actually got an award from the Simcoe County chapter for being the highest fundraiser for the MS walk.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
And this year, May 2015, in Collingwood, there was $50,000 raised for MS research. Jen and her family were walking. Alana, she's had past 2 years, she had, I think, 35 to 40 people in 2014. In 2015, she had around the same number. So again, it's just moving people together and making it a day to, if this sounds a little odd, just to celebrate them, who they are as people, and what they're traveling through.
No, you're very right. We do need to celebrate them as people and what they're going through. I mean, this is something that's so difficult, and you're so brave to be able to get out there and tell people your story and admit that it was hard, right? And that you are coming through it positively, like you said, a warrior in a sense.
Yeah.
As some of the fundraising and activities you've been involved in?
Mostly just the walk right now, because that's all I've really had a chance to do.
Right, yeah.
My team name was Too Inspired to Be Tired, and mostly because as a nurse, I am inspired to help people.
Yes.
Why am I any different? So I'm inspired to help all of us.
As a nurse, have you treated or been there for patients that have MS?
Yeah, 2 weeks before I was diagnosed, there was a patient who actually coded. It was the first person I've done CPR on, and then I was diagnosed after. She was end-stage MS.
Sorry, can you tell me what coded means?
Oh, sorry. Coded means she went to cardiac arrest.
Oh no.
So she was end stage MS, so she ended up passing away, unfortunately.
Oh, that's terrible.
But that hit me pretty hard when I was diagnosed, which is again why the mild depression kind of set in.
Right. Yeah, that would affect you as being a nurse. I
Absolutely.
know that being a nurse is a difficult profession, and you get to see the worst sometimes of these diseases. But I mean, again, we just, you look to the positive and you
Absolutely.
try to make it through your days and
Yep.
spend your time as a mom with your children. I'm sure you value your time with your children, of
Always.
course, because I
Always.
mean, we never know.
Never know. Life's too short.
Definitely. What advice would you have for anyone who is starting out on the same journey as you guys?
My number one advice would be just to not be afraid to talk about it. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, because you'll find out how many people actually do have MS and can connect you with someone. And I think for Jen and I, connecting to each other,
Yes.
no matter what supports you have around you, nobody fully understands it except for that person who's living through it as well. That was a major thing for me, and just staying positive. And it's hard, but you have to try and keep your head up and turn to the people that love you. And
yes, very much
Yeah,
so. And what's your outlook on life now?
It's not over.
Yeah.
You can still fight on, and there's annoyances is the way I'm going to call the symptoms being. Like, I get numb to my hips. It's an annoyance.
Of course.
It's not going to dictate who I am.
No, and that's it. You're gonna keep persevering and making it through the struggles and enjoying the good times.
Yeah.
And what advice would you have, Maria, from a mother's standpoint?
Just be there. Just be there, and sometimes
You have children.
And sometimes just listening is enough, because as they say, I can't be right inside, Alana's head, but what I can do is be there as a support, and sometimes just listen to what she has to say, and not tell her sometimes she doesn't want to hear it's going to be better, it's going to be fine, but just just be a good support and a listener.
You're so right. And this is something that is so important to talk about, that families may be dealing with or may deal with in the future, and where to go. I mean, donate, go out for these walks, get involved, learn, research, and stay positive. So thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your personal experiences. It's great to see that you've gone from struggle to success, in a sense, and you're viewing it like a warrior instead of a victim, and yourself as well. And I'm glad to see that you've made it through your struggles as well, and I really appreciate it. And now, when we come back, we're going to find something fun to do out in the community.
The views in the following program reflect those of the participants and not necessarily Rogers or Rogers TV.
everyone, welcome back to Mommy Talk. One of the things we love to do is go out into the community and find fun places to take our family and spend time together. So Esri, my daughter, and I, we went out today and found somewhere really fun. Let's take a look.
Hi everyone, we are here at Head Over Heels and Climbers Corner with Terry.
Hi there.
Can you tell us a little bit about what this place offers for families?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a full-size gymnastics facility for programs for girls and boys ages 18 months all the way up to adults.
Okay.
I also have an indoor rock climbing wall,
Nice.
which I put in last summer, and it's again for all ages.
Great.
Boys and girls and adults, and it's a great way to get out of the cold and the wet and the damp weather and come in and do some rock climbing.
Nice, very active and
Absolutely.
athletic.
Yeah.
And so there's classes for each age group and for different skill levels?
Yeah, absolutely. Different ages, like I say, 18 months, 6 to 8-year-olds, 9 to 12-year-olds, all the way up to teens and adults.
Nice.
All throughout the week, different times, different days, so there's lots of variety.
Great. And what about parties?
Birthday parties, yeah, we do
Yeah.
birthday parties. I've actually done stagette parties.
No way, that's awesome.
Bachelorette parties
Okay.
where the ladies would just come and play and
Yeah.
as part of their weekend.
Do you have a
and
place
so-
that for a birthday party that they can kind of hang out and do gifts and stuff
Yeah,
too?
we have a party room where they have food,
Nice.
drinks, presents. So they usually do an hour of gymnastics or an hour of rock climbing and then go to the party room and
That's great.
and have food and cake and stuff.
That's great. Yeah, this place is so great. It looks like there's so many activities for every age group and every skill
Yep.
level. So thanks so much for having us
Yeah,
today.
you're very welcome. Thanks for
and
coming.
Esri's having a great time. She's already on the equipment. She's already been
Yeah.
tumbling and jumping.
Yeah,
So
we did some
we'll-
somersaults with her. She
yeah,
did great.
we'll take a
Yeah.
look at her doing some of that.
Great.
Thanks so much, Terry.
You're very
Really
welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. She looked like she was having a good
Yeah,
time,
she's
eh?
so adorable.
What an active place to go with your kids, eh?
Yeah, it looks
Absolutely.
great.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you again next time on Mommy Talk.